Stoicism was a philosophy that originated in ancient Greece around the 3rd century BCE by the philosopher Zeno of Citium, who presumably wasn't a Star Wars character. Stoicism got imported into Rome around 100 years later, where it became the big thing among the Roman elites. And when the Romans invaded Britain in 43 CE, they brought Stoicism with them. Load of Roman shit. The theory was that by following the principles and tenets of Stoicism and becoming a Stoic or Stoic, you could become happier, more fulfilled. Sonia and I have had a rough couple of years. God knows we've gone on about it enough. So we've come here today to the town of St Albans, which used to be the Roman city of Verulamium, to see if we can learn anything from the Stoics, or Stoics, so that the next time that life decides to throw handfuls of dog dirt at us, we might be better prepared. You coming or not, Sanya? You're in this too. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Hurry up. Stoic. Go out. We often get asked, how do we manage to kind of still put videos out? How do we still manage to keep producing stuff? How do we keep putting one foot in front of another? So I wanted to make this video. It's a slightly different sort of video to what we make. It's much more off the cuff and
it's basically
chatty.
Because it's Mental Health Week this week.
Yes, unless you're watching this when it isn't. So well done, Sanya, for dating the video immediately. Remember,
okay,
we love evergreen content on this channel. We talk about that a lot. And Sanya immediately opens her mouth and dates the video.
All right, it was Mental Health Week at some point this year.
It's always Mental Health Week somewhere in the world.
Yeah.
No, I think it's World Mental Awareness Day. It's not. Mental Health Week is something different, and that's in like May or March or something.
Oh.
Look, we're getting bogged down in the weeds.
I don't ever look at what days they are. What? Yeah.
So we just wanted to kind of see if we can share some stuff, because we all go through shit, and the last 4 years for the entire world, for all of us, has been just, I don't know, it's like the world's gone broke. Broken, Phil, since the thing that happened in 2020, the world kind of just tilted off its axis, and so many people seem to have struggled since then in lots of ways. So we thought, we're not experts, but we thought we could share some of what we do to help us when things are in the toilet. It currently is.
To cope?
The first thing I should say is I'm not 100% sure I am coping as I normally would. You know, I'm not. I know that I'm coping the best I can. You know, it's not like I'm going through stuff and just it starts just washing off me like water off a duck's back.
You're not thriving through it.
I'm not thriving through it. I mean, one of the big things that I realise I've done is sort of gathered my energy in and kind of built a bit of a protective wall around me. So I always kind of call it like being on safe mode, you know, when your computer crashes and you have to reboot in safe mode, where it's just the basics, the basic functions are kind of working. That sounds, how's your wife? Bloody magpies, it's probably their fault. You know, one of the things I know I'm not doing at the moment, and if any of my mates are watching this, I'm sorry. I just don't have the energy to socialise, you know, and that's, so if you are watching this, John, James, Seb, Steve, Anthony, Shogs, Gannon, if any of you are watching this, you know, I'm sorry that I've kind of just pulled the wagons round and been incredibly unsociable now for a while. I just can't, I just don't have that resource. You know, it's like, so it's about having to prioritise. We've got a big family, so I've had to sort of prioritise our kids and my mum, who's in a nursing home, as some of you know, and obviously my marriage, and just those sort of immediate things that I can't kind of put to one side.
And I think there's a biological reason for that as well. I think our behavior is just mirroring exactly what happens when your fight or flight kicks in and those stress hormones ramp up. Your body starts taking energy away from your extremities, and so that you have energy for your vital organs, and so you have energy to run and to fight.
Frostbite or something like that, it like pulls the blood away from your hands and feet.
On a social level, I guess that's kind of what happens to a lot of people when they're trying to cope. I don't know if I like the wording of that.
Coping is a dangerous word, because I don't want to go on about how tough it's been for us, but it's been probably the worst 2 to 3 years of my life. You're kind of forced to cope, so it's not like some brave heroic thing. It's, as Sanya said, it's almost like a biological response. Something a lot of people have sort of said to me, oh, how do you keep putting stuff out? And it's like, well, look, how do you keep working? It's because I have to. I have a mortgage, we have debts, as a result of the last few years. If I stop, we will struggle to pay that. That we share a business, we do stuff together. If that stops, so I've got a gun to my head, I don't have a choice but to carry on. I don't have the luxury of pulling the duvet over my head, and going, I can't cope. That's partly as well, I think, comes from my dad, who kind of put, for better or worse, quite a strong sort of work ethic in my head, where if I'm not working, I feel guilty. And that's not always healthy. But it does mean that in these kind of situations, I can think of one other back in 2008 where I really struggled to cope, that I can just keep going, keep moving. And I don't know whether that's unique to me or whether it's something everyone can apply to themselves, but if you do stop, it can wash you away, I think, sometimes. But at the same time, sometimes you don't have a choice but to stop because you really, can't cope.
There's a bunny.
Where? It's gone.
No,
there's nothing to film.
There's the bunny. Look, it's so cute and tiny. Oh my goodness.
Welcome to our video about mental health coping strategies, everyone. Go out and find a bunny, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, it's gone now.
Good. I do get moments where anxiety just hits me. I never used to get anxiety before about 3 years ago, ever. My entire life, I never knew what anxiety was. And then when everything sort of started to happen, I did. And I do get those moments where it's suddenly like this sort of cold rush up my entire body. But I'm starting to now, because now that I'm familiar with it, I'm starting to be able to kind of head it off and distract myself mentally, so I don't kind of get too sort of sucked into it. And sometimes I'll do that by, I think it happened, I don't know, a while ago. I was in bed and just suddenly thoughts flooded into my head and the anxiety started. I thought, no, quick, open up a web page on my phone and look at something or play a game or distract myself. For me, that really works.
So it's like
distraction.
Pattern interruption.
I guess.
Before you get into a downward spiral.
Okay, it's not what I call it, but pattern interruption, everyone.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's like before you get it sucked into that downward spiraling vortex, quick interrupt the pattern, do something different.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. But I mean, it all sort of came about, that kind of feeling of anxiety, I think, and sort of particularly in bed and things, because there was a lot of, when my dad was ill, or before he got properly ill, we would get late night phone calls and I'd have to take him to the hospital. And then, then when he was in the hospital, waiting for the call to tell us the inevitable bad news. And then after he died, we had the same thing with my mum, who was living on her own, who's blind, disabled, where we were waiting for the call. So I think it's become a thing now where my fight or flight system is just primed. So I'm sort of having and it's never been like that before. So I'm now having to find strategies. And yeah, as you say, pattern interruption, everyone, apparently is what it is.
Well, that's just what I've called it.
Okay.
But
I
I'm sure other people
I call
call it that. Distracting yourself. But I guess,
Patternus Interruptus.
but I guess very Roman. But I guess it makes sense.
Something else.
Oh, there's a golf ball. Check it out. Tee. You want to say anything about the golf ball?
What is there to say? I'm not you. I can't just look at a golf ball and get excited.
The way I cope with anxiety is very different to you. Almost the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I've had anxiety for decades. We're old friends. And if I get it, I think it just swamps my body so much that I can't distract myself from it. I have to lean into it. So what I end up having to do is, what I find the most useful is I have to move it out of my body somehow. So I'll go for a walk or a run, but if I'm not in the mood for running, a walk is enough. Like, just walk fast, walk briskly, move your body, and just give that energy somewhere to go out of your system. Sometimes you can rant, sometimes you can cry, look like a maniac walking through the streets.
You do that, do you?
Yeah, I do. If I have to, I will go somewhere where I know there's not a lot of people, and I will just let myself feel it, express it, rant, cry if I need to. But it has to be moving my body. There's another technique as well that I learnt about in recent years. If you can't get out, if you're not in the mood for walking or running and you just want to stay inside your house, shaking your body apparently really helps. So you start with shaking your hands.
I've seen you do that in the morning.
No, you're not meant to see it though.
I've seen it through the door.
So you start with shaking like your hands, your arms, your legs, your feet, your torso, and you just shake it all out of your system.
I'm a flippy floppy scarecrow with a wibbly wobbly hat. Is that how it goes?
Yeah,
I shake my arms like this, and I shake my head like that.
Like, put on some good music.
Like that song, put on the scarecrow
song.
With regard to that and Sanya's love of walking, that does tend to be your solution to everyone's problems and everything in life. If anyone has any issue,
it's not.
and it's okay because it so works for you, but it doesn't always work for me. You know,
No, I know.
With me, you know, it's more up here.
Yeah.
Whereas you, it's your body.
I'm full body anxiety.
Yeah.
Mind, body, emotions, energy on all levels. So I have to express it on all levels.
Yeah, when I get anxiety, it's here. It's up there, so it's my brain that I need to distract. And if there's not enough stimulation on a walk, it ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
So I have to do something that's keeping my brain busy, which is why, you know, I find it easy to work.
Another one of my coping mechanisms is journaling, but I can't even get to the point of journaling if that energy is too activated. If the emotions are too heightened, journaling is not going to work. So that's why I'm like, you know, if there's something that you can do to offload the excess energy, whether it's dancing, walking, shaking, I'm a Quaker, shaking. For some people, it might be like singing or like some way expressing it, getting it out of your system.
It's weird, isn't it, how different?
You know, I guess for you it's creating. You're creating. You're putting it out.
It's not letting my brain stand still as opposed to my body. Because for me, it feels like it's there. It's up there.
Yeah.
So I have to kind of keep my brain nimble.
But my brain is moving at the same time. It's not like I'm out and I'm not thinking. I'm thinking about everything. I'm processing it. What I've learned to do as well is, like, let's say I'm feeling angry or upset. In order to not make myself feel guilty about it or like a bad person, I will say to myself, this is only a part of me that feels that way. Let it have a voice. Let it express itself. I don't care if it's like mean or like it's not socially acceptable or something. It's like that part that part has a feeling, that part is feeling that way. Just let it be and just listen to it, just observe it, just let it exist, let it express itself. So I'm not silent when I'm out. I'm not just
sounding like you are.
I mean, saying all this, maybe it sounds like, oh yeah, I coped really well the last few years. And I mean, on one hand, I think I did, but on the other hand, I don't think I did.
Yeah.
You know, I need 2 hours to myself every morning just to be able to face the day.
I'm
2 to 3 hours.
I'm the opposite. I'm the end of the day.
Yeah, you're the end of the day, but that's because I know I won't get it at the end of the day. So it's like, okay, I'll do it in the morning. Is that coping to take that long just to rebalance your nervous system? I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but
it's got longer and longer as I've known
it does work.
And same with me the other way.
Yeah. You know, by that same token, I have had unhealthy habits and stuff get worse over the last few years. So like eating.
Oh.
Put on a ton of weight, especially when it comes to sweet food and stuff like that. I've isolated myself. I don't really talk about things to people, apart from maybe to you, but it's only after I've processed everything.
We do
so
talk,
it's
we
like,
are,
yeah.
I mean, that's what I want to get onto.
Yeah.
Is that I don't want this to sound like a whinge because I also know I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, so I wanted to say, like, you know, all of these things, these tools that we use to help us cope, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be roses and rainbows. No. You know,
no, I mean,
it's still, you're still sailing through a storm.
Yeah.
You're still going over waves. The waves are still crashing onto your ship and flooding it. So it's just helping you steer. It's just helping you keep your hands on the steering wheel and move forward, keep moving forward.
So the Roman version of Stoicism was a bit different to the Greek one. They adapted it for Roman purposes, I suppose. So they had adopted these, which were virtue as the highest good. So Stoics. I can't say Stoic without. Another thing, right, Sanya? When did the whole BCE CE thing start? Why don't we do BC and AD anymore?
I think because it's for non-Christians, isn't it?
Yes, it's
So
like, but
Because before everything was like before Christ,
yeah,
and then Anno Domini,
after.
the year of our Lord.
I wanted to say something.
Go on then.
After Dickus. Sorry.
That's going to go down well, isn't it?
No, it's not, and but I couldn't. It wanted to come out.
Well, what's BC then?
No, that was before Christ and then after Dickus. But why didn't anyone tell me? Right? There wasn't. It's not like when these things are decided.
Oh, hang on, say that again.
Why didn't anyone tell me? Right? When these things are decided, it's not like when they brought in the metric system in Britain. No one kind of they didn't put up posters saying no, you can't say BC and AD anymore. It's just suddenly, slowly, gradually, people start using BCE and CE. So you're like, oh, I better do that as well. Oh, my bad. If I use BC and AD. Why didn't they make a big announcement? Who decides these things? Who decides these things? Answer me. No, I'm serious. Who decides these things? Who decides these
You're actually
things?
asking me?
Yes.
I thought you were just
I'm
sort of
looking at
shouting
you.
out
I'm
into
looking.
the
I'm not
void.
looking into the camera. I'm looking at you.
Oh, I thought you were looking past me.
It doesn't matter. Look, Stoicism. So virtue is the highest good. Stoics believe that the only real good is virtue. Do you agree with that? And that everything else, wealth, health, power, is indifferent. So the only good is being good.
Okay.
The focus was on developing moral character. Control over the emotions. Now this one I don't agree with. Romans, like the Stoics, prize self-control and rationality. They believe that negative emotions like anger or fear arise from incorrect judgments. Stoicism taught that one should remain calm and composed regardless of external circumstances. Do you agree with that? You would make a terrible Stoic.
Yeah, I would, wouldn't I?
You should live according to nature. Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature and
What
reason.
does that mean? Like rain
Well,
one day?
if you hadn't interrupted me,
Oh,
maybe
sorry.
I'd have finished the sentence.
Go on then.
A. Stoics believed in living in accordance with nature. For Romans, this idea often translated into fulfilling one's role in society and living in harmony with the natural order. Actually, it doesn't explain anything. That doesn't explain anything. Focus on duty and public service. Roman Stoicism emphasised a sense of duty and responsibility to the state and community. Leaders and citizens were encouraged to act for the greater good, not for personal gain. Sounds a lot like control to me. Way to get people to
You
behave.
tell them. Also, we could just go back to the living at one with nature. Does that mean like if one day you're feeling very gassy, you're living at one with nature because, you know, wind, nature.
I mean, I sort of see what you're reaching for there. I sort of see it's like a fart thing. Is that right? It's like a sort of kind of fart joke kind of thing. Is that right? Is that what's going on here?
Is that what I'm detecting?
Is that what's going on here? So something else as well I do to cope when things are bad and when we're sort of a bit rock bottomy is I sort of tell myself that it'll pass and accept that it's just stuff, you know, that there are bigger things in life that matter more than, you know, like money. You know, I suppose I'm specifically talking about money stuff here, or people being dicks or something. You know, it's just, it'll pass. It doesn't matter. You know, there's far more tangible and important things. How's your wife? Bloody magpies. Punch them all in the beak.
Wow. Imagine all this time they've been bringing you good luck.
That seems unlikely.
Why did I even say that?
Because I haven't had any. No, he's such a whinger. But the immediate things like my feet on the ground right now, or the bed that I'm in, or the chair that I'm sat in, those things in the here and now are what matter in that moment, not something that's going to potentially happen in 24 hours or 48 hours or a week. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
But it's about being in the, learning how much the present moment matters. And if you're okay in that moment, then you're okay for now.
I mean, funnily enough, that's actually a technique that people use to help ground them during a panic attack or an
Really?
anxiety attack. They say, like, feel your feet on the floor, name 5 things you can see, 5 things you can hear, 5 things you can feel, 5 things you can smell, if you can. I mean, is that really a good one to do? But it helps ground you, really ground you in the present moment and where you are.
Yeah.
And in doing that, your body starts to notice, okay, there isn't a lion chasing you. There isn't like an earthquake happening or something like that. So
Yeah.
you've instinctively, intuitively known to do that to help you. I have a very specific way of journaling. One, just offload everything onto the page. Say how you're feeling. If you're angry at a person, write to them, then rip it up, chuck it out of your house, into a bin outside your house. Do all that if you need to. If you're just anxious or whatever, write it all out. And then I always end it with asking myself, what would I prefer? So I end it with sort of focusing on the direction I'd like to go in. What would I prefer to have happen? What would I prefer to have had happen? Write it out how you wish it had happened.
Go over that.
That, because that ends it, it gives it it ends it in a different energy to what it started. And then
Well,
yeah.
I journal, but I share it with our patrons.
the way that you process it can help,
Maybe.
at least, I don't know, I can't speak for
I know,
everyone,
but I
it can help
felt-
me kind of go, oh, okay, yeah.
I felt a bit like a stuck record the last couple of years on Patreon. But then that's because we have been stuck in a, you know, the needle keeps skipping. It's felt like this endless sort of loop of like struggling to get out of a situation, and journaling, or my form of journaling, blogging on Patreon, helps me make sense of it. And kind of, I think, because it's a loop like that, it allows me to put things into chapters
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
You know, so I can moan about, say, you know, and I'm not fully open on Patreon. I don't talk about everything. You know, I'm able to talk about money and stuff because it's like, this ain't my bloody fault that this sort of happened. You know, we didn't see it coming and have done what I've done to sort of help, provide for my family. But, you know, and a lot of my inability to sort of earn money has been as a result of what's happened with my parents. But, you know, so I don't mind sharing a lot of stuff, you know, not everything, but I think it allows me to sort of kind of lock away that bit, you know, so that the next time it's not start fresh. But because I have wondered, it's like, why isn't this shit kind of compounding with me? You know, why, you know, it's been so tough.
Yeah.
Like, I would have thought that I would have crumbled by now, but I am still moving forwards.
So is it more like compartmentalizing
Yeah,
it? Or
it's
is
that.
it like
I'm trying to make sense of it. Sorry, I hadn't
like
thought about
offloading
that
the
until-
steam from a pressure cooker? So releasing pressure?
I think so.
Or a bit
and
of
doing
both.
it in small bits.
Yeah.
But I think because of us not feeling like we've gone anywhere now for years, and I don't mean in a physical sense, you know, just any further out of the freaking hole that we've ended up in, you know, and because we are still dealing with everything with my mum, you know, on top of I had to deal with grief as well. Bubs.
Oh, my arm was hurting and I was trying to look at you and then it was just,
A nightmare.
It was a
I mean, I can't
thing.
remember what I was saying. I was distracted by the camera wobbling. But
You were saying that it was a situation of feeling stuck and how journaling or blogging on Patreon helps you compartmentalize
that's uncomfortable.
and release
Yes.
the pressure
yeah.
from the situation, which helped it not to compound.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, some of this I'm sort of figuring out as we're talking. So if I'm sort of, you know, I've made some notes, but this was intended to be a sort of off the cuff, you know, slightly it's another freaking magpie.
If your perception of a situation is really, really bad, like this sucks, there's no good in it, what I found really helpful is to go in and look at all of the positives that have come out of it. And if I've got, so I make a T-chart, negatives and positives. However many negatives I've written down, I've got to come up with the same amount or more positives. And they can be things like, through this situation, I've learnt really valuable coping tools for anxiety. Through this situation, I've learnt how to manage my money better. Through this situation, I've learnt how to put myself first, to value my time first. Once there are so many positives that the energy of, sorry if I always say energy, but like, that's me. Like if you're not into it, just replace it with another word.
Who?
Once it's balanced, so the
Otherwise,
negatives and the
placing it
positives
out.
are equal and it's zeroed out, it's so much easier to move forward, because then you think, if this situation doesn't change, if something like this happens again, that's all right. There are enough positives to it to make it at least neutral.
So I would say as well is not to be ashamed of what you've got going on.
Yeah.
You know, don't be ashamed of it. It's stuff. You know, unless, you know, even if you have brought anything upon yourself, you know, if you have cocked up in some way, you didn't, I hope, unless you're a murderer or something, do it with malicious intent or because you're bad in some way. You know, you were just doing your best to sort of cope at the time. And with that in mind, you know, and I haven't always been the best at this. I've got a lot better at it over the years, and it goes hand in hand with not feeling ashamed and, you know, being able to sort of talk about the stuff. And that's, don't be afraid to ask for help. You know, a lot of what's got us through these last few years is my sister helped us out when we first kind of realised, where's all the work gone? You know, my sister helped us out. My mum, before she could no longer help, helped. And, you know, I've had friends be incredibly kind and you know, assist us. And then on top of that, you know, it wasn't my intention when I was sort of posting about stuff on Patreon, but my patrons have been incredibly lovely. You know, and it's helped us through. So you never know what'll happen if you're not ashamed of your situation and where you're at. You know, people can't help you, and it's okay to accept help, but people can't help you if they don't know what's going on.
Sometimes help is just even having someone listen and non-judgmentally, just having someone listen and kind of hear your story.
Yeah. And something else that's helped me recently was because of my mum having dementia, you know, which sort of, wouldn't say it started very quickly, but it accelerated very rapidly earlier this year. And, you know, she went from sort of 20 to 100 kind of in the space of weeks. There's a subreddit called Dementia that I've been reading, and I only discovered it a few weeks ago, and just sort of seeing the kind of commonalities of experiences, even though something like dementia is different in every case. Reading other people, it sounds mean, but seeing other people struggling, it kind of made me think, oh, I'm not abnormal for struggling. I don't think anyone can understand having a parent with dementia until you've been through it. So to sort of read other people's experiences firsthand has really helped me, because it's been like nothing I've ever experienced before, ever. It's, you know, we both, you know, it's draining going to visit and heartbreaking at the same time. But and also then you sort of feel guilty because there's a part of sort of dreading the visits a little bit, because it's like my mum's gone, you know, she's not there. There's this person who looks and sort of sounds like her, but it isn't my mum, so it's not a pleasant experience. But I felt guilty about that, but seeing other people also feeling guilty, but then people responding to them going, don't feel guilty, that's normal. You know, it is hard, it is shit, it is horrible, it is heartbreaking, it is depressing. Seeing all that really helped. Stoics would reflect on their day, asking what they did well, what they could have done better, and how they could have improved tomorrow. Do you agree with that? Would that help you?
Maybe.
Daily reflection. We've sort of talked about that a bit.
Yeah,
haven't we?
I'll give them that one.
Negative visualization. Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, which sounds like something out of Harry Potter. Imagining worst case scenarios in advance. This sounds awful.
Oh, I do that.
Oh, yeah, but
It's called anxiety.
yeah, wah, wah. It's called premeditatio malorum. This helped them prepare mentally for hardship and to appreciate what they already had. This is awful. That's an awful.
I do kind of do that.
But you shouldn't do that.
I can't help it.
Moment to moment awareness. People should always ask, what is my power right now? Oh, we sort of discussed that a bit.
Yeah.
This helps focus on present action and avoid worry about the future or regret about the past. Okay, that's good, yeah. Detachment from outcomes. Stoics advise detaching from the desire for specific outcomes. The idea is to do one's best but accept whatever results come. So
Yeah, that sounds wise.
That sounds okay. The rest of it, the whole public duty thing, they can get.
Is this weird?
It's a bit, but at least my arse doesn't hurt anymore.
So I know, I have a feeling Paul's going to talk about this as well, but another way that I've coped through the last few years, and something that's really made them, added to the positive of them, is I think it helps to have a focus of where you want to go. It helps to sort of go in even if it's just a feeling. Yeah. So not I want to be a millionaire necessarily, although that might be something that motivates you. It could be like I would like to feel.
I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I'd love to be a millionaire as long as I didn't have to pay tax on it. How's your wife?
Yeah, how's your wife? So each of us, in my opinion, has core qualities that we're born with. It's like core parts of our personality, I suppose, or who we are. And you can lean into those to help you get through a difficult situation. How I've seen Paul do it, and you know, you can add to this yourself, is you lean into your creativity. You lean into that work ethic and you make it creative. You create things, you make things. You have made a ton of music. You've learned how to edit in like more and more complex and extravagant ways. You've made so many videos. You've
Wait till you see the next video we're doing.
Oh my God,
I've been
it's
working
so
on it for a month.
good.
You wait, it's going to get about
so good.
It's going to get about 20 views.
No, hopefully not.
But I'm doing it because I love it. That's been my sort of project.
And one of my core qualities that I naturally lean into it. I'm sure you have the same, and you naturally do the same as well. Mine is like my curiosity, and I love learning. So I've like really gone deep in also learning how to edit, learning how to film these videos better, make our videos better, learning like actual skills where you can see yourself progress day by day. That could be crocheting, that could be art, that could be music, that could be running. That could be learning, I don't know, anything, how to program a computer, how to get better in a video game or something. Anything that you can see yourself incrementally progressing day by day, anything that you can see yourself, even if it's taking one step further in the direction that you want to go, you feel like you're moving forward, you feel like you're growing.
It kind of helps for me to counteract that feeling of being stuck in a groove, you know, a rut. You know, it helps to, even if it's just an artificial sense of progression, you know, the sense that I'm doing something, that I am moving, you know, through life rather than just being stuck in life.
It gives you like some sense of control over your situation. Like, I can move this forward in some way. And I think that's part of why we have continued making videos, because making videos has given us something to focus on and a drive to sort of go, we want to do this better, and for both of us to work on it. It's given both of us a concrete, solid thing to work on, and a concrete, solid thing that we can feel like we're making progress with every single day.
God, my bum. So I do want to say, you're not going to be able to hear the mic if I do that. It looks like I'm presenting something. So welcome to Blue
Like an
Peter.
album cover with a load of space on that
My
side.
trousers are falling down as well. One thing I do want to say as well, that all of this, you know, which is obviously, it's just our stuff. This is this, you know, some of it you can take and maybe it'll be useful, maybe it isn't. I do know that I'm lucky and privileged. I've got a wonderful, beautiful wife who's supportive. I've got a great, fantastic family. And you know, it's entirely, you know, beneficial to have a lot of the things I've got, you know, in terms of sort of mental health. You know, I know not everyone is as lucky as me, is what I'm trying to say, and that I don't take any of that for granted. You know, I think all of this in recent years, you know, even dealing with my mum and dad, you know, I have sisters as well as Sanya, who, you know, that those responsibilities have been shared with. So I am luckier than a lot of people.
I am curious to know what you do to cope.
Yeah,
like,
I'd love to know, genuinely.
Comment below, because like, you know what? I'm always happy to learn more ways.
Yeah.
I love learning, especially this stuff. I love learning anything that can improve our experience of life. So please let us know what do you do that's healthy to cope.
Yeah.
That you found has helped you get through something.
Yeah. So look, if you're new here, this is not the sort of video we generally do, but because it's Craziness Awareness Week.
This flying spider, like it's just
What's you talking about?
it's a spider that's just
No,
like
is it on me?
literally floated across the sky.
Is it on me?